सुप्तेषु जाग्रति य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
Thank you, madam. Good evening. I welcome you all for this online session on audit trial compliance challenges organized by the Professional Development Committee of SIRC of ICAI jointly with the Accounting, Auditing and Ethical Standard Board of SIRC of ICAI. I welcome the panelists Manish Gupta, Director SAP, and Chandrasekhar, Vice President, Focussofnet Pvt Ltd, and CA Vijay Srinivas from Hyderabad, and our esteemed Central Council members, CA Diamond Sharma and CA Mupal Sridhar. They will join shortly. I appreciate the efforts made by CA Naresh Gelli Garu, Chairman of PDC of SIRC of ICAI, and CA Sundararajan for making efforts to have this type of program. This is the right time to discuss about the audit trial. And I request Naresh Gelli Garu to commence the webinar as per the schedule. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, CA Subbarao Garu, and welcome to the panelists, Mr. Manish Gupta, Director SAP, Mr. Chandrasekhar, Vice President of Focussofnet, and CA K. Vijay Srinivas, and our esteemed Central Council members will be joining shortly, members. And good evening to each one of you. It's been quite some time that we've been planning this session, and I'm very happy that we are able to plan and start this session, so that one of the very important change which has come up under the latest circulars of MCA on audit trial. So we thought we'll have an interesting session with our speakers and some of the companies which have developed the various platforms, so if they can share their experiences, that will help members to understand how things have to be looked at, and how in terms of reporting has to be done in the audit report. So members, from 1st of April 2023, so this concept is effective, and the circular was mentioning about the cutoff date being 1st April 23 onwards. The accounts have to be taken care with this audit trial concept. So I'm sure the speakers would elaborate and share what is audit trial and how it has to go about, and what sort of reporting is expected, and probably in terms of non-reporting, what is the consequences that broadly I think our faculty or panelists will be able to share. So in terms of, to begin with, I would request CAK Vijay Srinivas to start with the basic aspect of what is this circular about, and how is it impacting the profession, members in practice. I'm sure it's not just members in practice, even members in industry have to comply with these requirements. And I request now Vijay Srinivas Garu to share his views. And once you present this basic thing, Vijay sir, I will request Manish Gupta ji and Chandrasekhar to talk about their what is that their features of their products would be like, and then we can go to that next level subsequently. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening all. Thank you, Naresh Garu. Thank you, SIRC of ICAI, for giving this opportunity. And happy to have such a good panelist along with me, both from SAP and Focus. So friends, this of course this particular term of audit trail is being discussed for the past 2 years because a circular was issued way back in March 21. Then of course various issues have come up and they keep postponing to 22, and then later on the final one has come up from 1st of April 23. There are a couple of things. Of course, there are two aspects of this particular audit trail. One is the responsibility of the company, which is mentioned under Rule 3.1 of Companies Accounts Rules 2014, wherein the management is responsible to enable the respective. Of course, I'll not read out the entire this thing while I present. I'll read out, but just to give a glimpse, they need to have, if in case they are having an accounting software, they need to ensure that the accounting software has the required audit trail as per the rules. That is the responsibility of the company, and coming to the auditors, they have to make their observation with regard to that particular rule. Wide Rule 11G of Company Audit and Auditors Rule 2014, where they need to mention whether the same has been complied with, that in terms of audit trail has been enabled, and of course it's transparent, tamperance proof, and throughout the year and all that stuff. Of course, while I present, I'll be displaying the rule as well. So this is the actual purpose for which we are discussing here. This is one of its kind. In fact, the first one across the globe. No statute has made it mandatory. Of course, you have other IFC and all while reviewing where auditor has to go through those trials and all. But coming to mention it in audit report, this is first of its kind across the globe, wherein India government has come up with this particular rule. So that's the first challenge. Second challenge is to create awareness about it, because so many conceptions are there, and fortunately, Institute has come up with an implementation guide through an FAQ. So that is also a very helpful tool for us to go through. And what best we can have to James from the respective companies which are providing a good number of which are having good number of users across India as SAP and Focus, to hear from them in terms of how they are going, how we are ensuring that this particular rule has been complied with by the company. So this is actually just to give a heads up with regard to this particular topic. And once they complete their presentation, then we'll come back and try to see what are the complex issues and what are the key aspects what we have to consider. That's it from my side. Naresh Garu, probably we can take it forward.
Yes, Srinivas. Actually, I'm sorry I missed out on basic introduction of Vijay Srinivas. CA Vijay Srinivas is a postgraduate in commerce and a law graduate and a fellow member of our profession, who is in practice for 21 years. He is now a partner of one of the senior firms in Hyderabad, Sri Chandra and Company. He is also a CISA. He is also a CFA and certified by cyber security by ISC2 and insolvency professional by IBBI. And he's completed his advanced diploma in cyber security and data protection laws from prestigious Nalsar University, Hyderabad. He has 6 post-qualification certificates of ICAI, including anti-money laundering specialist, diploma in information systems audit, forensic audit, and fraud detection. He is currently member of Hyderabad group formed by FRRB, and is a panel peer reviewer. He is also a member of the expert group of ICAI for new syllabus of CA final, and expert group of for ITT and advanced ITT. He's authored several articles on the information systems audit, bank audit for Hyderabad branch newsletter. He was part of the Hyderabad group reviewing various exposure drafts, including audit quality maturity model, recommendations for expert committee on company law, guidance note on bank audit, peer review manual, guidance note on urban cooperative banks, cyber security directions by SEBI. His service is in the areas of information system security audit, drafting and review of IT and cyber security framework, advisory and policy makers on cyber security policies, anti-bribery, anti-money laundering, data protection and privacy, forensic audit, fraud investigation, fraud and risk management services. He's been a public speaker on various topics, including bank audit, cyber security, data privacy, peer review, IT and IS, Excel and data analytics. This is a very brief profile of CA Vijay Srinivas. So welcome to you, sir.
Very sound profile, sir. Very sound profile.
Right. So I would like to introduce Mr. Manish Gupta before I request him, and also I'll introduce Mr. Chandrasekhar, and then I can start off. Otherwise, probably if I miss out, it will not be nice. Mr. Manish Gupta is a director, customer advisory of SAP. He's been working across multiple industry verticals, including wholesale, consumer product, telecom, media and entertainment, pharma and digital natives. He feels that customer-centric is the heart of everything that companies do. And since the lines of the business are blurred, there are many immense possibilities and opportunities to learn from industry verticals other than their own. Additionally, he's a member of FTCCI and is the convener of Industry Academia group. He has been a part of various interesting initiatives across the business community, omni-channel commerce, digital banking, IoT, Industry 4.0, and others in the early stages of development and adoption. He's a member of leading innovative engagements with enterprises and business partners. He firmly believes that the empathy is at the very core of the business and in making the world a better place. He is involved in various community building, including advising business on strategy. And he is very keen on listening to stories. So he's also keen on if you have any interesting one to share, he has all his ears to hear them. So welcome to you, Manish Gupta ji, to this panel discussion. And I would also like to briefly introduce Mr. Chandrasekhar, Vice President of Focussofnet. He is the Vice President of Operations and has been with Focussofnet for the past 24 years, overseeing core operations and being responsible for sales, implementation, and support. This is a very brief profile of Mr. Chandrasekhar. With this brief introductions of the panelists, I would now request Mr. Manish Gupta to make his presentation.
Sure. Just a sound check, Naresh Karu. Is it audible? All good?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Okay. All
Yes,
right. Let me share my screen as well. 1 second. Just 1 second. I'm facing some trouble logging in on my laptop. Give me a second, Naresh. Naresh, I was thinking the topic of audit and the entire act is that already known to the audience, right? Because I didn't prepare for that part since somebody else was supposed to take it. So I'm assuming I can ignore that and move on. Okay. And
yeah, so the concept of audit trail has been there for 2 years, but it's been compulsory from 1st of April 23. So the members are aware about the concept, and the broad aspect of discussion is how to probably interact with the client and ensure that they're comfortable in analyzing and reporting. So that's where we thought we'll have this.
okay. I'm just facing some trouble with my screen share. Let me just log in again, sir. Give me 1 second.
Sure, sir.
Some trouble. No, sir, I'm having trouble logging in from the laptop.
Or else, so can we start with Mr. Chandrasekhar in the meantime? So
Yeah,
we
sure,
can
sir.
do the
Please go
backup on.
Sure.
Yeah. So you can, we will talk offline, sir. I'll call you just for it.
No worries. I'm just setting things up.
Chandrasekhar garu, can you start off your presentation?
Sure,
Otherwise,
sure,
in the
sure,
meantime,
sir.
we'll try to work.
Yeah. Yeah, very good evening. Warm welcome to the seminar, and I'm sure everyone are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Right. Thanks. Yeah. First of all, let me thank each and everyone and giving us this opportunity, and especially Naresh Gelli sir, organizing this session. And it's been an immense pleasure that it's been given an opportunity for me to present the audit trail feature which has been implemented in Focus. So just to give a brief about our Focussofnet, we've been in the industry for last 30 years, and from the day one, the forte of the Focus is giving a customized and configurable solution to the end customers. So our journey started about 30 years back, where the era of DOS-based platform to today, we are working on a web-based platform where across we have offices across 17 countries, and everywhere it's our own branches, and we are the one-stop solution provider for the development and implementation, and then also onto the support. So our forte is there in a core ERP as well as in CRM solutions which are catering to multiple verticals. Be it pharma, manufacturing, trading, and everything. Infra companies and everywhere. You see our solutions widely used. Across the globe. Now, as the industry needs are growing, we are also going in parallel to the requirements of the industry, and that's where our solutions are at par with the current business requirements of market today. Just to give I mean, hitting the nail on the head. So today our interest, the point of interest of the meeting is to speak about an audit trail feature, as rightly said by Naresh Gelli sir and Vijay Kumar sir. It's been there for last 2 years on the discussion table, but made compulsory for the 2000 for this year onwards. And that's when this entire discussion and the requirement discussions are coming up and on the table now. Just to give an intro about how it is handled in Focus. Just to, it's not today, what it's been enabled. If you look at for last 30 years, the day one, the audit trail feature is, enabled in Focus. So it's not something, today we are doing it. So if you look at, last 30 years, it is there across, all my solutions, from 4.8, the DOS platform to today web platform. Now, the one more second important aspect is, the audit trail features are, it's not something users have an option. It's a mandate. Any user who belongs to Indian time zone, by default the audit trail feature is enabled, so that every transaction, every master, and every log, every activity is logged internally and stored securely, sir. Hope I'm able to speak clear, something to be improvised, please.
It's
Please
clear,
mention,
sir.
sir. Yeah,
It's
great.
clear.
Yeah. Now, the audit trail features is available, at a transaction level, at a master, as well as user rights. Because this is something which we felt, is an extension to what is the requirement of audit compliance. Like if some account name has been changed, or some account account name has been changed, some of their master data has been changed, some of their bank details have been changed. So everything, we are storing data in a secure manner, so that on demand basis, you can extract the data for any given period. Similarly, we are extending that same audit features for the user rights also, because ultimately the software is being used by users. So who and when and what time he is logged in, and what was his rights on a periodical basis. Tomorrow what will happen on a white face, they might say this user doesn't have edit rate, but it shows a particular transaction has been modified, because to support that we have made user rights as an rights log as a mandate, so that any changes that's been done and at the user rights level, like probably adding any privilege, deleting any privilege, everything is recorded, with a timestamp and date stamp, and also it stores from which machine it's been modified. So all that information is tightly and securely stored, sir. And when it comes to the transactional audit information, it captures who entered it, and if just in case at what level he has entered, what data has been modified, what are the previous value, and what is the current value of the transaction. You have a comparative data available on the screen, which can be exported and into a PDF or an Excel. Today, for a security reason, today we are not allowing this data to be exported to an Excel because there's a heavy chance that the data get tampered. So that's why right now we have all this information is available as a report in the ERP, and one that transaction has been verified by your auditor. You can mark as audited, so that tomorrow when you want to look at the data, you can exclude all check the data that is added as a part of the new functionality in the ERP cell. Now, anything you wanted to ask us, or what is it? Otherwise, I can move to the next slide.
Yeah, I think the questions will be asked later on, sir. We'll discuss.
Great, sir. Great, sir. Great, sir. Yeah. No. Though the easy, we made auditorial reports accessible, very simple, that it's not like probably you might need to write a code or kind of thing. It's all revenue driven. One can go to your reports and one can access to the audit trail as a separate submenu where it talks about audit trail transaction as well as audit trail login. So when you click on the audit trail transaction, the system will give you a provision of what period you want to see, and if you want to very specific to see a particular transaction or a complete data. Again, we have something called the date criteria also. Probably if you want to look it for a very specific time, like date of entry, transaction date. There are two important aspects which are stored against each and every transaction. So we made a provision saying that any data that is entered between 1st of April to 30th April, you want to see that data irrespective of the transaction date. That data you want to see what all have been changed. So system will give you that if you're considering based on the modified data, or otherwise system will by default will fetch you the data based on the transaction date. Consider that I'm going by the modified date. System will give you a list of transactions which are been affected during the period of transaction reporting period. It gives you a transaction. If you look at there are a lot of transactions like purchase voucher, sales invoice, hire purchase, sale, receipts, payments, and general, etc. Like based on the user implementation, this all will data get populated. If you see on the face of the thing, system will show you that who created it, on what date the transaction has been created, and if it has been modified, what date it's been modified, who is the user, and what is the action of it. If it is a deleted, it comes as a deleted. Otherwise, if it is an modified transaction, it comes as a modified as an action point. Now, having said that, once I get to this, if you really want to see what has been modified, you have an option called show modification. If you place the cursor on which of the transaction you want to see and place the cursor, it shows the information what has been there as a standard. Now on top of it, it also gives you a side-by-side comparison. What is my new value and what is my old value? It could be any transactional data, like it could be an amount change, or it could be narration change. Everything comes over here as a comparison data set. Yeah. Now, similarly, the same has been extended to. Yeah.
I request the members to please mute your mic, please.
विद्या के बाद फैब्रिक से छोड़ने का सर फर्स्ट लाइन में आ गया सर, यहाँ भी वो आ गया, ठीक है, फिर बाद में यहाँ तो नो आता वो इसमें अंदर है ना.
Madam, can you ask office to please mute everyone?
Yeah. Similarly,
yes, sir.
Yeah, sir, we did it, sir.
Yeah. Similarly, we have an auditorial feature at a master level, so that just in case anyone says a particular account has been modified or the properties of the account has been modified, that information also we are capturing here. If just in case I'm looking at one account, where there's a modification effect has been, and when I look at the data of it, it shows what was the previous value and what is the current value. So it could be now today for the presentation, I'm showing you only 3 data here. It could be any data, like could be sometimes their GST number might have changed or the PAN number might have changed. Sometimes their the credit limit or the bank details has been changed. Every data is captured here, sir, in a columnar. I mean the data is presented in a columnar manner. Same this extension we've extended that to masters, like item master could be the companies like big corporates might have branches and department cost centers and all that data is tightly stored in terms of all the record changes. So that's what I have to show you on the power plant. This is more of we're talking more into the how it has been where and all where our services are there. We are there in the manufacturing, sales, distribution, and retail. Everywhere our clients are taking advantage of Focus ERP. This is just a glimpse of my the product and what all modules we are serving across all corporates and enterprise on Focus solution. But quickly, let me take you to the direct product. Hope my screen is visible, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. So this is basically a login screen of an application ERP. So the moment based on the user rights, I'm sure every auditors has been given their username and password. So the moment you just say give your username and password, and it takes you to the landing page. This is my landing pages on ERP, and my audit reports are available at this panel, sir. When I'm saying audit trail transaction. Now, as I mentioned, I can always look for the period of what period you want to see. You want to see it for the current financial year or the current year or current month. You have all the data option here, and assuming presently I am interested to look at the data of current financial year. As I mentioned, I have 2 options. I can extract the data by voucher date, or I mean, when I say voucher date, this is my transactional data. And when I say modified date, this is the data on which the transaction is taken as modification. Now, as I mentioned, the system will give you a list of the transactions that has been affected. So as I've shown in my presentation, there are purchase vouchers which are affected. On the right top corner, we have something on show modification, which gives you complete information of what has been previously there, what has been presently has been modified. Let me take out one data which gives you. So if you look at these are all the data that's been modified in the particular transaction. Earlier the data transaction date was 1/1/2023. Now the user has made it 1/1/2024, and that time it was not affecting to your books of account, whereas with this modification it was affecting, and the narration has he has changed it from some X to Y. And similarly, the amount in the we are capturing this audit trail right at individual line item level, so that if a transaction is having a multiple lines, you can see what was individual against an individual row, what was the previous value, and as well as what is the current value. It's been like that. System will give you information on this. Similarly, if I'm looking at a more of payment or receipt transaction level, it gives you an information. What was my previous voucher date and current date? Earlier, there was no narration, but whereas with the new modification, user has created some narration onto it, and he has made an adjustment. Like adjustment is he knocked off this payment against purchase voucher, so that the reference has been set. So this kind of information system will give you. Similarly, we have an just in case once you've been once you think that everything is done, and if you want to export this to a data in Excel format or a PDF or anything, or directly you want to send an email. So system has got provision to send export this to a specific option. Sir. Here again, I know we have something called a filters where auditor wants to see a specific voucher level, screen level data, or if he has got some doubt and he wants to type some text here on screen search. All that is available as a part of the report feature, sir. So, as I mentioned, we have audit trail for the masters also. As this is an audit trail master where what period we want to see, and right now I'm interested to look at if anything has been modified at a master level. Now system will give you what has been if there are any changes for the period. System will give you the changes that have been done in account master. It gives you the data, and similarly here again we have a show modification option where earlier this particular account got create period of zero value was there, but whereas on a new value, user has changed it to 90 value. So like this, every information, we are capturing it, and for the only presentation purpose, today we have taken as 3 days, I can be this can be extended to all the GST. I mean, any field that has been user modifies. And not only at a report level, just in case if you want to see what has been changed at a transaction level. Now, assuming that you're looking at your sales invoice data, and you're at one transaction, you want to see what has been modified here. But with a click of button, system will give you a complete version details, what was been previously there and what is the current changes that's been done in the system. If you look at the right side corner, the entire information about the transaction, when was this created, who was the user, is been created, if it has been modified, and what date, what time it's been modified, and if there is any versions, that has been there. You can click over here, system will give you a list of version. There have been list of versions, the list of transactions. I mean, list of times, this particular transaction has been modified. All that versions will be shown, in a box. So if you see this particular voucher has been modified by 3 times, and every time was it was a SU who was modified this transaction. Now just in case if you want to see what is there on the first version of this data, you can click that, and system will load that particular version data, and it shows you. That's all what I have to present. And just to add more to it, as I mentioned, this data cannot be tampered by anyone. I don't know, neither it from an application side nor even admin also cannot delete this data, because this has been stored in a more of an encrypted mode, so that no one can play around with this data. That's what I want to admit with a strong statement, and I want to conclude my presentations. Naresh Garu.
Yeah, thank you, Chandrasekhar Garu, for presentation on the audit trial and the details of the features in the Focus software.
In fact, actually, I want to make this as a document and share it with your organization, so that you can circulate it among all your chartered accountants, so that just in case they're going for any firm which is using a Focussofnet Focus ERP, so they can refer this document to extracting audited data, audit trail data.
Sure. We can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, sir. And Manish, sir.
Yep.
Yeah,
sir, I think somebody needs to give me the sharing rights. I have logged in as a laptop, which is a separate. I'm trying to say, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
I think you are a co-host. Screen share is available. Can you just?
No, I just need the co-host rights for a user called laptop, which I'm using here.
Okay.
I think if you can rename, I think it will be better.
Yes, sir, I will do it.
Thank you very much. try again. Looks good. And let me know if you're able to see my screen. Yeah, looks. I'm able to see my screen here, so I'm hoping it's
Yes,
all
yes.
good for you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
So, Audit Trail, to be honest, is, it's become a very important topic right now in India because of the rulings, but Audit Trail has always been the most important topic when it comes to softwares, which are global softwares and which are in presence in multinational companies since the last 30 to 40 years. So, Audit Trail being a very, very minuscule part of the overall features, but before going there, I think a lot of wise men have told in the past and even now that change is the only constant. And there are, so many other interesting, I would say, phrases around change, which is, if you don't like something, change it. When in doubt, choose change. They always say time changes things, but you actually have to change them yourself. Now, this is all looks good when it is a very philosophical discussion, when it is a very discussion where you're sitting with these wise men, but not for the audit office, right? Anything
Yes.
that is changing in the system, in the software, in the application is a nightmare for the auditors. It's a nightmare for the finance office. And I think that's why, this has become very, very critical over the last many years in terms of how the world is looking at the sanctity of the data, the sanctity of every piece of information present inside the product, or the ERP, the CRM, etc. So, as I said, it's change is not good for the audit office. But coming to SAP, I just thought I'll lay a little bit of small background about SAP. We have been in business for last 51, 52 years. I think we're celebrating our 52nd year of existence. We are based out of Germany. We were the first core ERP company which stemmed out of Germany in 1972. And we have close to 400,000 customers globally, thousands of them in India as well. I just thought I'll share a few things about what we do on the ERP before I move into the audit aspect of things. And if you look at this slide, the, 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 the most important aspect of our entire approach is that financial management is the key pillar of our ERP. So whether it is human capital, spend management, supplies, chain management, customer relationship, we have also now gone into creating a business AI, or rather AI partner business processes. But the most important aspect is still the financial management part of the ERP. In fact, a lot of times I've seen, and this is not something which is a comment by SAP, but what I've seen from the ecosystem is that whenever a company wants to go public, or whenever a company wants to go, go for venture funding or debt funding, the first thing that they will do is go for SAP. Whatever they have been using over the past, they will change it and they will bring it back on SAP. The reason is the world over it, everybody thinks that SAP is a gold benchmark for financial information. So nobody can play around, nobody can fudge information. Everything that you've presented in your financials, if it is coming from SAP, they respect it as benchmarks. This is the office of CFO, or the Chief Financial Officer solution portfolio that we have, and I'll come to the most important part of it, which what we are discussing here. So apart from the accounting, the closure, and in the sustainability, there are treasury and financial operations, the quote to cash operations, and there are certain other cost topics which is around the security, the cyber security. There are business processes, engineering as well, identity management. But when it comes to compliance, tax and audit becomes a very important part, and this is what we are doing. What I wanted to spend a few moments was how SAP is trying to make the entire audit as a reasonably simple process. From a not just from an internal finance office perspective, but anybody who can come and do the audit of the system. Yeah. So we have come up with something called an SAP audit management module, which actually allows users to come in purely for audit functions, purely for managing how to do a system audit, right? So it's not just doing a manual activity, but coming into the system just like any other user would, but as an audit user. And everything that is available to the auditors is in a way helping them to scale or to do much more with the available time that they have, the available bandwidth that they have. So this is part of our core office of the CFO solution. Audit Trail is probably the part of it. Before that, I will just switch to a little bit of what we are doing in the audit management aspects. I hope this is helpful because as I said, Audit Trail becomes very small aspect of the overall audit philosophy. So I thought I'll also spend some time on what we do from an auditing perspective as well. That would help the audience here. So, as part of the solution, the most important aspect is to document, organize, and collaborate. And we are saying with so much of companies starting up in India, with so much of startups, with so much of people, with so much of IT adoption happening in India, it's imperative for the auditing fraternity to really do faster and more audits at the same time, right? So which means the documentation, the organization, and the collaboration becomes very, very important. The second part is to use technology that you know well. So in case of, for example, as I said, SAP, the SAP S/4HANA is the latest SAP ERP, and here you can actually log in as an audit user and access all the information which is relevant to you to pick it up from the source system itself. So you don't spend time in taking the data out, see what is good, what is not so good, what is relevant, what is not so relevant. SAP has made it very simple for somebody who wants to come in as an audit user and use the information, allows you to do it faster, do it better, do it in ahead of time. And as part of this, you also look at the key business risks and how to actually plan the audit activity. So much so that we can actually do a lot of audit planning, audit management. So something which was done 2 years back, last year, etc. All that information is available. All that data is available for you to look at and to use that as well, right? The most important aspect is the next generation analytics, and with all of us looking at how data has become so significant. Even the data as part of audit has become very, very important, right? So with every with company using IT for all the transformation activities, there is so much more data, which means there's so much more data to be audited, right? There's so much more information to be audited by the internal and the external auditors. Now, so I'll quickly move to the last part, which is talking about the audit trail here. And I think, yeah. So audit trail, right? So the very origin of our software in 40, 50 years back has been built on the philosophy of anything that changes should be recorded, should be monitored, should be allowed to be discovered by others, right? So here, for example, any posting which has to happen inside SAP, and if you guys are familiar with SAP, cannot happen without creating a document. So a document is a record, is a record of transaction inside SAP. Anything that happens, anything, when I say, I practically mean everything. You touch the system, and if there's something that you're doing, it has to do a posting with a document, right? Changes to posting documents. This is where I think the audit trailing part comes in. A posting document cannot be changed, but additional information can be added, such as reference or a comment or an alignment. So there are certain areas where original document cannot be changed because if it is posted, right? So that is why I was saying that there is we are the gold benchmark when it comes to the source of truth for information. Unique identification of posting. Every accounting document is identified by the company code, the document number, and the fiscal year. Now, why I'm trying to bring all of this information is because there's so much of sanctity of the data that we are capturing inside SAP. We're also giving much more information as to what should change, what should be allowed to change, and when it is changing, we are tracking it as part of audit trail, right? The general ledger account master data, and then last part, which is the not necessarily valid for the community on this call, but mostly for your customers, is whenever any configuration changes are done. For example, your master data is ABC, you're changing it to XYZ. SAP proposes, especially in the new cloud world, is don't make changes directly onto production at all, right? And this is given as a guidelines to all your customers, to our customers who are using SAP. Do not change anything directly on the production data. We have a non-production environment where all the configuration setup is done. You make that change and then transport it to your main production setup. With that, I thought I wanted to share with you what we are doing in terms of the overall process of audit. And when we mean audit trail, or what we call it as example of evidence, I'll just talk about one simple example for the journal entry changes, which are the most important aspect of auditing. Here, the way we captured information, which again, very similar to what Mr. Chandrasekhar also talked about, is the table field that was changed, the old and the new field values. Importantly, the users who made the change and date and time of the change, right? When I say everything that is changed inside SAP, this kind of audit trail is done. Now, why would a company invest so much money in creating an audit trail? Just because we know that anytime anybody, any regulatory will come up and ask this information, right? So while without the audit trail, our system can actually look this much. With audit trail, our system start looking this much in size. But the importance of that particular aspect of audit trail becomes so important that we do not do any short changes over there. And everything, I'm just giving an example here, but everything is managed like this in your systems, right? So with that, I think I had a few more things, but I thought I'll talk to you about the Universal Journal as well. It used to be earlier called as the AC DOCA tables, if you guys are familiar with, so everything related to account. The way we have managed the change new architecture for this, we call it the Universal Journal. And what we can do now with this kind of application is allow users to have direct analytics from the production system. Earlier, what used to happen was used to have a main production system, and then used to have offline data, offline information, offline stuff. Now, what we have seen, including starting from global customers to now the customers in India, that every piece of information people want as one source. Which means if I have this as one system and my hand is the second system, which is the offline system, there could be potential of difference between these two systems. The information may be wrong, the information may be incorrect. So anybody who's picking up data from my hand, which hand system, could actually be getting a wrong data or wrong analytics. What we have said is we will converge everything in such a way, we'll change the architecture in such a way that you can dip into one single source of truth at any given point of time, whether you are the CFO's office, whether you are a customer office, whether you are the CEO's office, you will get one source of truth all the time, right? And that's how we have. That's why we call it a different name. If you have known, it's called S for HANA. HANA is a new backend database engine which allows these kind of things to happen in real time. That was one thing I thought I'll talk about. If there are any questions, again, all of this information is available inside SAP. I can share a few videos and few links in terms of how these are captured, how to read this information, how to download this information, etc. But the moot point is, the moot philosophy is that for us, that everything that changes or is allowed to change is tracked and recorded, right? So with that, I think I go back to my original slide. Change is the only constant. It's not so good for the audit office. So that with that, I would complete my time on the call. If there are any questions, we can take it towards the end of the session. Thank you, sir. Over to you, Naresh.
Yeah, thank you, Manish. So now, can I request Vijay Srinivas to make this presentation?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Share the screen. I believe earlier you asked about sharing the circulars first initially, although many of you have gone through that. So there are two circulars which we need to keep in mind. One is, of course, the responsibility of the management, that is the company. And like you have to be very careful while reading this particular clause. Of course, many companies have taken care of this, especially like SAP Focus or all those accounting softwares. But as an auditor, when I'm taking a call, I also need to go beyond what is being shared with us through guidance note or implementation guide and all, because obviously when someone challenges, I need to be in a position to demonstrate that. That's the main issue. So let's read the first of all the circular with regard to companies accounts rule 2014. This is the main para which we are discussing on, which says that provided that for the financial year commencing on or after 1st of April 2021, which of course they have twice they have postponed it. One was 1st of April 22, and then later on the final one is 1st of April 23, wherein every company which uses accounting software, so that's point what we need to consider first, whether the company is using the accounting software for maintenance of its books of account. Again, books of account, you need to refer the definition first, which speaks about all those sale transaction, purchase transactions, inflow, outflow, which have been directly impacted to 13. So that you need to refer. You also need to read Rule 3, which speaks about the maintenance of books of account in electronic format and all that. So once you consider that, it says if a company is complying with that, where they are using an accounting software for maintaining its books of account, shall use only such accounting software. I mean, those companies which are using shall use only those accounting software which has a feature of recording audit trail of each and every. So that's the. So first thing is if the company is using an accounting software, it needs to have this particular feature which records audit trail of each and every transaction. And more typically is the following sentence, which says creating an edit log of each change made in books of account. So this again we'll understand. I'll share a small presentation on that to understand what is the log, what is the importance of that particular edit log. Then obviously with the date when such changes made, that is your trail, basically the timelines or who has changed and all that stuff, ensuring that the audit trail cannot be disabled. That's the tamper proof. Okay, it speaks about. So ultimately, if I have to just put it in a single term, it's about accounting or integrity of a particular transaction. That means there are no issues with regard to the integrity with what has been made in the accounting software ultimately. So to ensure that, they have said that this is what the feature should be, the particular accounting software should have. Second thing, this is Rule 3.1, where the responsibility comes into the picture. That's the management responsibility. And Rule 11G. Rule 11G is companies audit and auditors rule 11G. When I say 11G, it's about companies audit and auditors rule 2014. So it says whether the company has used such accounting software. Obviously, when I say has used, in the sense, if it is using an accounting software, only those cases it will be applicable. So obviously, someone maintaining books of accounts in not using an accounting software or just recording, then obviously this particular rule will not apply. But we'll see what exactly is accounting software and all. So whether the company has used such accounting software for maintaining its books of account, which has a feature of recording audit trail, that is edit log, or same has been operated throughout the year. Second challenge for us. And for all transactions recording in the accounting software, and the audit trail feature has not been tampered with, and the audit trail has been preserved by the company as per the statute requirements for record retention. And this has come from, again, 1st April 21, then later on postponed to 1st April 22, but it hasn't been postponed to 1st April and 23, unlike the Rule 3.1. So that means that's the reason last year, as this particular clause was not enabled applicable for this year. So we have just given a comment saying that no, this clause is not applicable from this particular. Accordingly, there's nothing to comment in this particular clause. So it comes back to this particular financial year 23-24, where we need to form an opinion. Okay. Now, once we understand the responsibility of the management, where they have to enable the audit trail with regard to the accounting software. Then software should have a particular feature which captures the required information as mentioned in the rules, and also should be tamper proof. Okay. Auditor responsibility in forming an opinion or at least reporting on what 11G says about. Okay, this is ultimately about two different rules what we are speaking. So there might be a question like, what if a company has not complied with the responsibility? That is one thing, how we have to report it. If in case they are using an accounting software which is not enabled with the audit log, or for that matter, they are not using accounting software, they're just maintaining a manual kind of thing. Okay, which is very more possible as of now, considering the kind of regulatory compliances what you have to make in GST and all. Okay, so now let me just make my presentation in terms of what exactly is audit log. Okay, so when we speak about audit log, it is not, there is a somehow a wrong conception where they link the audit log, audit trail or audit log with just a report which shows the timeline or a user or at what time they have made the changes. So it's not that kind of simple when we speak about audit trail or for that matter, audit log. Like if I have to put, because this particular term, if you see it was referred in, I mean, it's not exactly referred, but implicitly it was used. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, there was a warning. So implicitly it was used in US SOX, also PCAOB, their auditing standard what they have issued. Somewhere they have mentioned when it comes to financial controls in auditor reviewing the log. So though explicitly they haven't mentioned, but implicitly it has been referred. So that's where if you have to search about what exactly this audit trail is, the trail is nothing but an image of values before and after edits. That's the first issue what you have to consider. When I say trail, that means I have a trail which is prior to editing what was there, after editing what was there. I mean, what are the values prior to modification or whatever it is, whatever, and after an action has taken. So unless I comply with that, I can't call it as a trail. That's the first thing we have to consider. Second is state of data at different points in time. That's again coming back to the timelines. Okay, what was the state of data prior to modification and after modification? Then identification, who made that change, which user has made the change, when the change was made, that is the timestamp. I mean, as I said, most of the people are looking only in terms of the identification and the timestamp. It goes beyond that also. And what specific action has been taken, that is create or read or update or delete. Now, as we have seen both Focus and SAP, they were demonstrating about featuring these particular 4 aspects where it was showing the values prior to modification, after modification, who has made, when it was made, and what was the specific action they have performed. And if I have to actually comply with, there are other 2 issues also to be considered. If I have to consider it as a proper audit trail, that is where the change was made. That means which particular system or application the change was made and why the change was made. Okay. So as of now, I kept it in green because if I'm at least by virtue of implementation guide and all these 2 things were not strictly meant, but otherwise these also, if someone challenges, then obviously I need to have these 2 factors also to be considered. Okay, so these are the basic components of audit trail. And just remember the first line, that is the trail or image of values before and after edits, because this particular line, I mean, when I have to call it as an audit trail, this is the one, a most challenging aspect of this particular entire rule what we are discussing. Now, again, it has to be in a chronological, it means it maintains the timeline of all activities. It's not about one modification. I would have done a couple of modifications. Voucher number, I've entered it wrong. Second, I've tried to modify the narration. Third, I said, okay, this GST number I've wrongly entered, I'm modifying that. Third, it could be like decimals I missed out, I'm trying to enter decimals. So there are various events happening for the same transaction. So it has to maintain a chronological events or that particular transaction, again, along with the actual audit trail, what we're speaking about. And when we speak about the higher level of scope, it covers the data edits. I mean, obviously we are going through system, the accounting software, that's where we are looking into those areas. But in a higher level, it speaks about the data edits, the system access attempts, the configuration changes, and other significant events happening in and around that particular transaction, so-called when we refer it to the a particular books of account. This is the overall high level scope, and that's where if you see the implementation guide, there was a question which being asked that I'll refer later. And ultimately, the purpose of the entire thing, the reason behind this particular rule is a couple of years back, the scheme fraud what has been unearthed in a particular financial transaction. That's the reason for which this particular rule has been brought into, to ensure that there is a trial about all the modifications, whether it is in within country or outside country. Whenever it comes to the accounting software, it can create a trial so that it will be helpful for the investigation purpose. Okay, so it be should be tamper proof or at least tamper evident. When I am saying tamper evident is tamper proof as an auditor, or for that matter manager, management level, it will be too technical when they say tamper proof. So if I can create an evidence there is no tampering happened, okay, ultimately if you see the kind of opinions what many auditors have given, based on the evidence or based on the test checks what they have performed, there are no instances where they consider there is a evidence of tampering and all. Okay, so they need to consider it as an evident tampering. And of course, preventing undetected modifications or deletions. And why this line also will come while I'm addressing one of the aspect about the trial. Okay. Now, what is the purpose? Obviously, to ensure accountability, to detect any unauthorized activities. It, of course, aids in the investigations. Of course, I mentioned as forensic because we don't get into a detailed investigation. And of course, it supports the regulatory competence. And it has to be ongoing as and when they occur, not just a periodical kind of thing. And that's the reason one of the opinion what we give is that the trail has been enabled throughout the year. That is one of the opinion what we are expressing. Okay. Now, let's go back to the particular audit rule, company accounts audit rule, and again read the particular, because why I'm mentioning this is there is something which have to be very careful when we are commenting on this, because there will be 4 areas what you are commenting on. 1, that it has been enabled. 2nd, it is operated throughout the year. 3rd, it is tamper proof. 4th, the whatever logs have been there that has been preserved. Of course, first year we don't comment on that because this is there's no it's not going beyond this particular year when I have to mention about the retention. Next year, of course, I have to make a comment on preservation of this particular audit log. Okay. Now, the actual complication comes if I refer to the implementation guide released by our institute. A very good tool. In fact, whenever you have an issue, you can just refer, because they have mentioned about the FAQs. I'll just address the key aspects. It may not be the all, or probably I'll share my personal ideas, or not exactly an ideas. What I can call it is like my opinion, personal opinion. If in case typically there is the transaction happening, let's say at a POS, point of sale. Let's say there is a retail, there is a POS happening, there is an entry happening at that, a sale transaction happening at POS. And that transaction, once I make an entry, a sale has been made, that is being automatically populating software, going by the interpretation of the accounting books of accounts. Obviously, that will be forming part of your books of accounts, and also the accounting software you are using, because that is being integrated into your accounting. So that means whatever audit trail we are speaking at the accounting software has to be enabled at the POS level also, because that is directly being automated, that is directly being intimated. Okay. This voice service I can compare with a Excel entry. I'm making a Microsoft Excel. I'm using an Excel where I'm putting the transaction like sale transaction, purchase transaction and all. And after that, I'm based on the end of the day, whatever lump sum amount, I'm just posting that into my accounting software. So there is a disconnect. Okay, there is a disconnect, because when we say accounting software, my books of accounts are being maintained in, say, SAP or Focus or whatever. But I'm not direct. At the end of the day, I'm summing up based on the entries in Excel and posting an entry. So obviously, log will be there in the SAP, but I can say the Excel is not forming part because there is no auto integration. And if you refer to the question, the last question of your FAQ also, this is where it says, typically when you are using spreadsheets, whether the books of accounts, maintained accounts would include purchase order, sales order, use of spreadsheets and all. So you can just relate it with that, because these are the one which are not directly being integrated. That can be considered, may be considered as not part of your books of account, and you can no need to maintain and log for those Excel kind of thing. Especially you speak about depreciation calculation being done in Excel, or a deferred tax calculation being done in Excel, wherein it's not posting directly into an accounting software, and that being disconnect. So I need to comment on the audit log only on the accounting software. I don't need to mention about anything about those Excel sheets what I'm using. That's of course been clarified in this particular implementation guide also. So this, in fact, couple of clients where they were asking about advisors. Maybe in a personal capacity, I can say that, okay, if wherever possible, if you are finding it difficult to say that no, I can't integrate, and that's the best way, because already if you are integrating, then you need to ensure that the same rule has been applied right from the inception of the transaction. Okay, so this is one area what you have to focus. And second, I'll also draw attention to one of the beautiful compilations shared by our CCM, Mr. Vishal Doshi. What he has done is compiled all various opinions formed in various companies, listed companies, and he has given this, so you can. It's available in the public, maybe in your LinkedIn or anywhere you can search. I think it's being circulated many a times. If not, I'll share it with Naresh sir. So this has compiled where they have put all the opinions in different companies, listed companies, which can also be referred to, if not, because one of the things what we need to consider is implementation guide. When I say I can use it as a reference to form my professional opinion, but I can't consider, I mean, I may not say it as a mandate kind of thing, because it's not like a mandatory guidance. So I can refer it, but ultimately it's me whom I'm going to take. I mean, I'm going to take professional opinion on my basis of my judgment. So I can't say just because my implementation guide has mentioned this, suggested this, I can't make it as an excuse saying that, no, I'm just following that. No, you need to have your own judgment. You can just refer it as whenever you have any clarification, you're seeking any clarification or not, you can just refer it ultimately, but it's you who has to take a call. Okay. So if you go to this particular, you just search a particular term called database. This is where I'm more concerned about. Let me just zoom it. And many companies, many entities, they have given not enabled at the database level. So you have SAP or you have Focus, and there is an audit log enabled, and for an auditor, they are able to review. But ultimately, whenever the transactions are being posted, that obviously they have to sit in some database. Could be local, or could be in server or remote or whatever, cloud or whatever it is, but somewhere they have to sit. If the entry, whatever you're making, is sitting in some place, so-called database, and if data edit log or audit trail is not enabled at the database, okay, so again, call, why I'm call, because implementation guide clearly says at one place that if it is not enabled at a database, you need to comment that. I mean, it says that you have to have an audit trail enabled at the database level also. Okay, so this is again, as I said, you may not refer directly to the implementation guide saying that no, because they've said I'm strictly following. It's again, you have to use your judgment. Say in my personal case, if you ask me, maybe a couple of places I may not consider it very relevant if applications like SAP and all, they have enabled it, and there is a security enabled at the backend as well, not to have any access kind of thing. Okay, so again, there is a opinion saying that if there is an data, if there is an access, could be even super admin also, but definitely there is an access. So when there is an access, there had to be an audit track. Okay. Now let me come back to the typical aspect of the first term which I was highlighting. And this, in fact, we are trying to communicate with the hires also wherever possible to see that if they can come out with a. When I say audit trail, you have trail or image of values before and after edits. I can have this in accounting software, but when I'm speaking about database wherein it's not only accounts department, I mean, there's a sales department, there are production department, everyone accesses the same database. And to have a trial where an image is being created before and after edits, and someone says that it has to be implemented, then I don't think the process for that matter, the space, it will go up to toss. I mean, it's very difficult, no matter whatever company, whatever kind of infrastructure you have, it is going to slow your process. It is going to eat up your space. And you are speaking about retaining these particular audit logs for at least 7 years, 8 years or so. Is it not? I mean, these are the typical aspects what you have to consider. And here, that's where you have to use your professional judgment, saying, because in my personal opinion, this clause, this rule is meant for integrity. If I'm speaking about confidentiality of the transaction, I'm not saying about the confidentiality of the edit log. Edit log is different. I'm saying about the transaction. That is a confidentiality issue. It speaks about the security, data security. That is altogether a different subject, info security. Okay. So if I'm commenting on the info security, first question is whether I'm capable, whether I'm expert enough to comment on the integrity, I mean, confidentiality of the data, which is obviously it's not in my scope as a statutory auditor. So these are the points of debate. These are the complication. Obviously, we have to debate a lot and probably take it forward. But personally, I'm not comfortable with this particular aspect, especially when someone says that edit log has to be there in the database, because for the reason that audit log is not merely a timestamp or something like. It has to be like capturing the trail before and after values and storing that and retaining that for the period, long period is what the complication. Okay. So you can just refer to these compilations if in case, and I've just drafted a couple of possible views. Let me just try to share. This is again the audit approach. Let me just share that. So a couple of examples. If there is no accounting software, again, as I said, these personal views, these are personal views. At the same time, you can't just use it. I mean, just because I'm displaying, you can't probably may not use this. So if there is no accounting software being used, then probably the company has not used an accounting software for maintaining its books of account. Therefore, the reporting under so and so is not applicable. As I said, again, I'm repeating, saying that no, this is my view. You can't probably just make a reference to this. And if in case the company is using an accounting software and the audit trail is enabled at the accounting software level, but not at database level, where there will be various aspects. One, the database is in local desktop. Of course, you have off-the-shelf software kind of thing where many clients are using, wherein obviously the data system, there is a database folder in the local desktop, and the desktop is accessible to all the users, including your guest user. That is one simplest kind of security issue. Second is the database folder is in the local desktop, and the desktop privilege, and also a single user is defined. Okay, there are user level privileges created, and there is the user access policy implemented. Third is a database folder is in local desktop, but such folder is protected with. So there is a protection with regard to the folder. Fourth is database folder is in server, and such server is accessible to only admin privileges. There is again access privileges being defined. And there is an accounting software is accessed through remote mode, where only single user is created who has all the privileges. Okay, editing or modifying whatever it is. And the is accounting software through remote mode. The database folder is accessible through only admin privileges. Again, you are protecting using the user privileges and all. Accounting software is accessed through remote mode, and users cannot access the database folder. So database folder is protected. Okay, and it is in remote mode. The last one is there are multiple users for each of the role, and the database located in a local server or remote server protected with the admin privilege. So everywhere you can see there are protection enabled, there is admin privileges enabled, and there is a access user access policy being defined and all that stuff. Okay, in spite of all this, by virtue of course, I would refer probably implementation guide by virtue of opinion formed by major firms across India. Unfortunately, no matter whatever security you are using, because there is no trail enabled with regard to those remote servers or desktop servers or whatever it may be. Unfortunately, because there is no imaging with regard to prior to and after modification, ultimately you might end up giving an opinion wherein you might put that kind of qualification, not exactly qualification, but you might give that facts saying that no, based on our examination, which includes just check the company has used accounting software for maintaining its books of account, which has a feature of recording audit trail. However, we were unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Why I'm saying this is because I'm not an information security auditor, wherein I can check how the security posture is enabled, how the access log is being maintained, because you're not speaking about access log here. Please understand that we're not speaking about access log, not about event log. We are speaking about edit log. That's the typicality. Okay, so audit trail has operated through for and whether there were instances of audit trail being tampered with, because considering all the examples what we have seen earlier scenarios, I can't comment on that. And also because with regard to this being applicable from 1st of April, I can't comment on the preservation of audit trail. So this is the one a typical or complicated aspect which we have to consider. It's again comes back to the individual judgment. I mean, though implementation guide is there, but if I have to go with the implementation guide, obviously I need to qualify each and every company because obviously I can't expect someone to have edit log at the database level where it captures the images prior to and after while maintaining the trail of events. That's what the typical. Of course, when you're giving a clean report, then obviously there's nothing to mention about it. Okay, so just I thought I'll just share a couple of possible views. I'll just stop my presentation here probably so that we can have more of discussion on this or debate on this. So I hope I put my critical issues whatever possible in the audit. Over to you, sir. Vijay, Naresh.
Yeah. So thank you, CA Vijay, for your presentation. So now, since the three speakers have made their point of views and presented about the possible options available, so I think we can have a discussion so that the issues about audit trial at transaction level and database level can also be discussed with reference to both the softwares and also any other off-the-shelf softwares which are available. So should we start off with maybe I'll request Vijay, you can pose questions to both the panelists and then you can see how we can further review on that.
I had one small thing to do, if you allow me, Naresh.
Please.
So just to, engaging with the audience, if there is possibility for everybody to have their extra mobile that they have in their hand, I will share my screen and we'll try to see if some this thing works in the next 60 seconds, and let me know if it allows you. So I have just tried to put in 5-6 questions here, and if you guys can use your mobile phone and log into this one. This is just a starter question, so there are a few interesting ones coming up. But if you have the mobile, just click on the QR code, or if you are on the web, you can also join in on menti.com using this. So I've seen some responses coming in. If you can join in, we will know that the audience is also engaging as well with us. So which year was SAP started? That's the first question. I'll give another 15 seconds for all of you to respond. I wish if we would have had this in an in-person event, I would have given some nice prizes for these questions. But next time when we do that, we will come prepared with it. Virtual, we can just distribute virtual gifts, which will not help anybody. But another 5 seconds if people on the call want to respond. Which year was SAP started? 3 answers given here. One is correct. 1992, 1972, or 2002. So last 3 seconds, I've seen about 15, 20 responses. In case you're able to join through using the QR code, would be nice, interesting, and more engaging. But I take some of the answers are also coming through the chat, so we'll welcome that as well. Yeah. All right, I'll break the clue. It is It's 1972 is the right answer. I'll move to the next question. How many customers does SAP have globally? The first answer is 400,000 plus, which is 4 lakh plus, 300,000 or 350,000. So all you people, as I said, this is a good preparation for the next session if we have in person. You guys can, come prepared and we could have a nice round of a prize winning quiz or something. Another 10 seconds to answer this question. So we have good answers coming in. How many customers does SAP have globally? These are the couple of questions where you had an option to pick and choose. I'll come to another few questions after this where you have to come and respond as well. So another 5 seconds. How many customers does SAP have globally? Anybody who can't log in can please respond on the chat as well. All right. What's the right answer? The right answer is 400,000 plus. Most of you have got it right. So thank you for that. Next question is, why is audit trail needed? Right. So again, why should somebody really come up with this fancy thing suddenly and say, yaar, audit trail chahiye, har kisi ko chahiye? While it is a regulatory requirement, there should have been some basis. I have enables accountability, detects anomaly, need to know the history of the change, or all of the above. Whichever you think is the right answer, please, go ahead and tick it as well. So another 10 seconds, maybe. I think it was an easy one because a lot of this information was covered in the call today so far. Why is audit trail needed? Enables accountability, detects anomaly, need to know history of the change, all of the above. All right, I'll stop there. So answer is all of the above, which is correct. So all the 3 answers are correct. This one, what could be the potential pain points for clients for audit trail? So while this audit trail becomes important when you are implementing it or clients want it, and this is where I was requesting if you guys can put in your answers as well. What could be the pain points for the customers? So either it could be my customers, SAP, Focus, software companies customers, or as CAs your customers, whoever it could be. Short answers, if you have something to respond to, it would be nice. You can just type in. I hope you're able to see something. So maybe I'll type something and say new concept, submit. Right. So this is one of my response which has come in. Lack of experience, good point. We don't know how to use it, and if a software doesn't actually do audit trail, then what can the company do? So, so cost of impact, database level logs, location and volume needed for storage. Brilliant point. I think that's a, if as, the co-panelist was also mentioning, Mr. Vijay Srinivas, that if everything is audit trailed in the software application, the software application will become from this size to this size. I'll not fit into screen also, but that's the reality that's going to happen. So people need to really understand how interpret this requirement in a way which is more practical in nature as well. Another 5 seconds to answer this. Some very interesting points coming in. Training costs, very good. Cost to comply with it, training, high cost, additional cost. Cost, of course, becomes the most important aspect. If no more responses coming in, I will move to the next, which is the last one. According to you, is audit trail an important ruling? And the most important question for all of us. While somebody has thought about it, it is a ruling. But do you think personally it's an important ruling? I will also. My answer is maybe. Just to have 1 point. Okay, a lot of people have responded maybe. So another 5 seconds to answer this. Good responses. Thank you. Thank you for the audience and the people on the call to engage well in this one. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I think it's still a mix. Luckily, nobody's saying no, which is a good thing. So at least we are not on the negative axis. So whether it is really that important or not that important, the audit trails have always been there in some of the most robust software applications which have been used globally. So does it really need to be part of a regulatory? Maybe, maybe not. It's been the the reason also could be that there are some softwares which really did not which are homegrown software also, right? Which doesn't have any audit trail. And then there are certain softwares which were made by smallish companies who didn't really think of audit trail being a very important function. I would end this small quiz here. Thank you everyone for participating. And it would be nice when we meet next time. We'll have the same quiz in a presentation mode in the hall, and we could have some prizes as well. Thank you. Thank you, Naresh Garu. I leave it back to you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. It was very interesting. So, yeah, Srinivas Garu, I think you can, we can start into the panel discussion part.
Yeah, one question before that. I think there was a question by Mr. Lakshminarayan Bangat. Client has only few transactions, say only is paid, no revenue, not enabling audit trail because of lack of activities. As an auditor, how should we deal with in these small companies? When it comes to these provisions, when we and for exception or exemption for small defined small companies. So when it is a private limited company, the purview of company, obviously have to comply with the company rules. So even if it is a single transaction, no matter, just to put it more, maybe even one transaction, you have to comply with the respective rule, and thereby ensuring that you make a comment. So if the client is not maintaining an accounting software but not having a trail enabled, then you have to mention clearly saying that the client is using accounting software, trail has not been enabled, and accordingly you form your opinion. So you have to give a qualified opinion with regard to that. Trail features software mid of the financial year. See, if you see the
Let me know if I can take. Sorry, go ahead.
One of the question was, Mr. Admin. So it says company used audit trail feature software mid of the year. So the rule says clearly it has to be enabled throughout the year. Okay, so obviously qualification where you need to mention that you have to provide the facts. Basically, when you speak about these rules, you have to just clearly mention the facts, because it's about clearly providing the facts about the accounting software. So you need to provide that in your particular comment. So let's proceed with the panel. In fact, these were drafted.
There was one more question in regards to multiple ERPs associated.
Yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think if Mr. Zahir Abbas, you're there on the call, you want to share more, elaborate more on that. If I understand correct, you're saying if a company is large enough and they have multiple systems, multiple ERPs, or multiple other applications, then what happens? How to is that the correct understanding? I'll take that in that case.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
So what? No problem. So what? What generally enterprises do, and this is in the case of mostly mid and large enterprises, mostly large enterprises, and then some of the mid to large enterprises where there are so many IT landscapes available. So what some of these enterprises do, Zahir, is they will actually look at a layer, data layer or a data lake which sits on top of all of these ERPs, right? And the most important aspects of what the audit trail, on which aspects you want to capture audit trail, will come to this data lake, and then comprehensively these will be available to your auditing department or the finance department. So, and this is a reality because a lot of people have multiple ERP systems. So obviously, individual ERP systems having audit trail doesn't really help. So what they will have to do is push some of this data in a data lake, or in the most rudimentary way, provide audit trail in each of the systems, which then becomes cumbersome for anybody who's coming from outside or inside to audit or to look at, from a regulatory inspection standpoint. So I hope I was able to answer your question, Mr. Zaid.
No, probably the one question which is I'm just looking for to answer is the risk there is involved in terms of the trail part. The
Yep.
trail may not be effective in some cases ineffective. In that case, there is a risk to the compliance on that part. Because it may take some time, because the timing wise, the rule has come up and it will take some time for everybody to adapt and do the system changes. In that scenario, what kind of way forward or the risk mitigation, what steps have been taken, which will still be a risk for the reports or how that has to be dealt with the auditors if somebody is working as a finance
good
head or
point.
some kind of a thing.
A good point. And some of these, the tier 1, tier 2 ERPs already have this feature enabled. So whether the ruling has come now or it doesn't really matter, because these softwares are already doing this audit trail inside their applications. So the information is already getting generated for the last many years. It's just that now it has become imperative to use that information. So at least in case of tier 1 and tier 2 software application companies, Zahirji, this should not be a problem, because the data of audit trail, the previous and the new values, who changed it, when it was changed, etc., are still available inside the system to be provided to anybody who wants to have a look at. Mr. Said.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There are a few more questions. I think one question which might be to answer as well, because one was with regard to the tampering. So we need to understand that tampering is about not modifying a transaction of, doing a transaction multiple times. It's about, say, in the month of April and disable it during the month of June, or probably of couple of hours, whatever you call. So that has been enabled and disabled quite often now. For that matter, it has been enabled or disabled. So obviously that's been tampered with the audit log. So how you are going to ensure? See, again, you have to improvise your audit procedure in terms of, say, for example, if I take an accounting software where I picked up a couple of transactions for test check in the month of April, in the month of May, December, and I've picked up my sample of, say, 20 transactions from each voucher type, and I've reviewed saying that there is a trail for if any modification is there is a trail which is capturing the value before and after that. Second, it has been enabled for whatever transactions I picked up. There is a trail enabled that shows that the audit log is enabled throughout the period what I've performed a test check. It's not tampered proof. It's not tampered. And of course, throughout the year, as I said, first date of your financial periodical sample, a random kind of dates. So you need to comfort for yourself, saying that when you perform an audit procedure, you are creating those required documentation which can prove that you have tested it the way it has to be reported in terms of tamper proof, all that aspects. So again, you have to improvise your audit procedure with regard to that. Second thing, there was a question with regard to Second thing is, say for example, you've identified a particular voucher which is modified, say 8. Okay, and if it's just a voucher number, I may not be bothered, but again, you have to be skeptic. And if you are seeing frequent changes happening to transactions, and there is a trail which shows that there is a frequent changes happening, and that is where you have to be getting into an investigation mode to see whether the changes have happened in line with the document what they have provided, and or what exactly is the reason behind that. Okay, so if it is too frequent and you feel that it's going to impact, it is going to, you have to comment on the financial control, then you might have to draw that in your IF. Again, it depends on the way you evaluate those kind of samples what you have picked up. If you feel that there is compromise in those controls, then it goes beyond your 11G, and you have to call up that particular thing in your IFC also. Okay, in fact, the audit trail, if you see, it was referred in IFC and SOX also in US. Though here it explicitly it is mentioned. But you can't limit yourself just merely to the enabling or disabling of audit log or all those things. You have to be open enough to see changes. You have to be skeptic and go beyond that to investigate the reason or if any lapses in the controls. Those part also you have to comment. It covers only the companies, so this is not applicable to LLPs. Auditor. See, if it is not enabled, then obviously you have to give a comment saying that as per the company has not complied with Rule 3.1 and blah blah blah, whatever it is that accordingly you have to comment saying that it's not complied with. It's open fact. It is. Because they have not complied with 3.1, then that has to be presented in your report under 11G. if accounting software cannot generate the report of all changes, we can view it in transaction level. We can say that, see, enabling and generating of report is, there's nothing to do. Enabling is, see, if accounting software has a MIS kind of thing which generates the entire, I don't think, I mean, I'm not sure whether SAP has enabled a wherein we can get a complete MIS of all the changes prior to and after throughout the year. It will be very, uh, uh, typical request if I have to make that kind of request to any accounting software. That's sir, Manish.
Yeah, no, I think point is valid, right? So, and again, this response is coming from me as Manish and not as SAP. If I was a user or a client or auditor, I would want this information available, absolutely on the fingertips, right? Which means the systems should be able to throw out this information and say this information changed, and I should not go into the system and check which information changed, why it changed, when it changed, right? So this should be available. But again, as I said, there's so much more functionalities that an ERP does that this small thing then becomes probably in the last list of priority for any roadmap item, right? But having said that, it can still be done. All the audit information can be taken into a very simple database, offline database, which can be built in a way, and with now Gen AI or business AI capabilities available, it could be very simple to just throw up the question to that table or to that database and ask them to share the only those information which has shared, changed, and why and who, etc. In fact, I would probably go a little level ahead and say that somebody can then build up a little bit of AI to say that a lot of these audit trails that have we come to our notice are reasonable outcomes. No, it's not to do with any fraudulent activities. These are the ones which could potentially be fraudulent. So those kind of things can be done as well, but right now not really available within the core ERP systems. Vijay, Srinivas.
Let me also check with Mr. Chandrasekhar. I mean, I'm not sure the focus. Generate that kind of image.
Yeah, basically, as I mentioned, its system generates you all the kind of audit trail data in terms of transaction master data and configuration. Everything is there, and as I mentioned, we give an extension where you have a provision to mark that your auditor has check this data, like there's one transaction, it's been modified, he has verified, yes, what are the previous value and what is the current value. You can counter saying, yes, yeah, you have verified this editing or this audit log, and so that this becomes audit stamp as a part of the ERPs. So the next time when they are looking at the data, this can be excluded, and tomorrow if you want to really see what all the data that has been verified by auditor and what more to be verified, those exceptional data can come in. So as rightly said, as rightly said by Mr. Manish, so right now today we have very raw data that is coming up. Probably we can still think of extending it, give you very sensitive transactions which are required, your auditors attention, and vice versa. Like it can go on. So that's what I want to add from my side.
So obviously, I mean, of course, I found it difficult for. Of course, it can be doable, but again, it has its own cost involved. So ultimately, you need to design an audit procedure or probably have your audit procedure, because when we speak about the financial transaction, for that matter, leaving apart the audit trial, I mean, what was the procedure what you are following, whether you're performing in 100% verification or a sample basis, or what are those evidences what you have created, what is the procedure you have followed. So the same applies over here also. I mean, what are the transactions? Because if I'm commenting saying that it is being enabled throughout the year, how you can ensure that? So there probably you need to design a step saying that, okay, first day or probably first week or whatever it is, randomly you picked up throughout particular periods and at the end of the financial year. So you can just have your procedure. I mean, your comfort. you have verified let's say your sample, you have included maybe 150, 200 transactions, you found comfortable, then you can still close there. I mean, if you are not comfortable, then you can extend, but ultimately you have your own procedure. That's the only way as of now, for that matter, any kind of accounting software. Is it compulsory to use accounting software? No, it's only that if the company is using accounting software for maintenance of books of account, then such accounting software shall have an audit trail enabled. That's the rule. So it's not that every company should have an accounting software. You can still go with the age-old record keeping registers and all. But obviously it's not possible for at least even if for startup also, I don't think it's impractical. So ultimately that's where it comes back to maintaining of accounting software. Yeah, Manish, you have something to say.
Yeah. I think I think it's a very interesting question, right? And I would answer it in more not from as a CA, not as a software vendor, but I'll answer it as an owner of the company, right? Now, as an owner of the company, if I feel that I want to live with this company for the next 40 years, I can do whatever I want to do, right? I do not need a software at all. I don't need to scale. I will start the small operations, sit there, do that for the next 40 years, and I'm good. If a company or if an entrepreneur wants to run a company where he wants to see an exit, where he wants to sell it to somebody, where he wants to scale this company, the only way to show that your accounts are absolutely valid, absolutely authentic, is by using a software application, right? Anything which is Excel, anything which is notebook or is not counted as authentic information, right? So the day you want to look at valuing your company, you cannot prove that valuation by using Excel sheets, by using notebooks at all. That's
Very
a
well said.
submission. Yeah. So only way to really look at why should you use an accounting software is when you're keen to go for a valuation, or you're keen to scale your operations to know, or you want fund, right? I mean, if you have no accounting software, if you go to any bank, nobody's going to give you the loan, right? Well, they would be keen to give, but they will not be able to believe that information. So as I said, the answer is more a non software vendor, a non CA, but the answer is more from an entrepreneur mindset. What do I need to do? The basic steps to make sure that the business that I'm launching is not just perennially growing, but also I'm able to get what I want, whether I want financing, whether I want partnering with somebody, whether I want sourcing. For all aspects of that, you need something which is authentic. Vijay, Srinivas.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And also probably you need to cross-refer with what you mention your tax audit report. You will be giving the books of accounts maintained by the client, all those information what you mentioned in your tax audit report, or you would have declared to various regulatories what kind of books of accounts you are maintaining and which form you are maintaining. So you need to cross-check with that. So it's not so simple considering at least the present GST scenario where you say that you don't maintain books of account
Exactly.
in accounts.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is it mandatory to enable audit log at the database? If you go by implementation guide, yes. But personally, again, it's you need to take your call. As I said, the comfort what you get based on the accounting software what you are using. So maybe off the shelf kind of softwares I may not be comfortable if it is not enabled in the database, but it's a judgment call. But if you strictly go with the implementation guide, that's what they said, it has to be enabled at the database level, which is impractical in my personal view.
So I want to add something over here.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Vijay.
sir. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. See, just to add, from a focus point of, so right now, we are dependent on MS SQL as a database where everything is stored in SQL. Whereas, for SAP, they have their own database called HANA. I don't want to really comment on the HANA because I have very less knowledge about it. But again, when it comes to MS SQL, so as you said, there's a separate database administrator user end which is available, and majority of the transactions are being handled by application itself. And on top of it, and if someone is tampering the data by using an SQL credentials, there's a separate log which is maintained at a database level, But retrieving the log is something in very cumbersome process as we speak today, and there are a lot of external tools which are available in the market. Through that they can extract it. But if you ask me frankly, for a normal layman, if you expect me to retrieve the data in an easy way, it's not possible, practically possible. And I'm sure there's a lot of amount of time and time and effort will go for retrieving it. So this is what I want to submit on database audit level. And just to give you more insights of there are some more vendors available in the market who have their proprietary database for a data storing. Like I just want to take one of my competitor Tally, so who are maintaining the data in a proprietary, but I'm not sure how it has been handled if they want to tamper the data by DB level, because they don't have any RDBMS database, which is storing the data. It's all in a proprietary database, So this is what open point, which lives with my immediate competitor.
I wanted to add one thing, Vijay, if you allow me.
Yeah. Please finish.
Yeah. So two things here, right? One is and this is now getting more evident as we move from on-premise systems to cloud systems, right? So one thing is becoming easier to do, which is to maintain the security. For example, in case of SAP, the new ERP systems are all on cloud, which is managed and maintained by SAP. And the way we manage the database access, every access of security, every access of entry is 20,000 times more secure than any average customer would do when it was an on-premise solution. So going from on-premise to cloud, a lot of things have changed and evolved, where companies like SAP have been able to now bring a complete shield around how the database is getting accessed, right? So anybody who's adopting a cloud ERP from SAP now, I think the confidence level is not just 100, it's more than 100% in terms of who can access, when can they access, can a database administrator change everything, this and that? The answer is no, that is not allowed at all. Because now the system is in our control, is in control of SAP, right? All of these loopholes, which were probably existing when you were having an on-premise system, are no more there. Vijay
Yeah.
See,
Srinivas,
unfortunately,
the same applies, with the Focus too, because now even our platform is completely moved to cloud, and been managed by Focus only, and no one is having a database access. And as Mr. Manish said, it's again 100 plus. It's a foolproof system, or no third party or is having an direct access to database, and everything is controlled through a very proper access control. No one is having a direct access basically. And
absolutely right. And I think more and more people are moving to this kind of logic in the enterprise software space. Which means to the CA community on this call, I think if you are supposed to audit somebody next year, the first and foremost thing should be to tell your customers and clients to have an accounting software which is compliant, which is this, which is that, so that at the end of the year, your job becomes not just easier, but your job becomes less liable to any litigations in the future. So I think these are important things, because I don't want to get into too much of nitty-gritties, but while our economy size is 4 trillion, the Niti Aayog is saying that we need to go to 30 trillion by 2047 to ensure that our per capita goes significantly higher. Right now, our per capita is only about 2.5 lakhs per annum, which is still much lower in the range of developing economy, right? So 4 trillion can look good, but 4 trillion divided by our population looks significantly low, which means the 4 trillion to 30 trillion journey in the next 2047. It's to coincide with the 1947, 2047, 100 years of independence. That's the importance that Niti Aayog is giving, that this is another independence movement for us, which means $1 trillion every year needs to be added to the economy. Now that cannot happen if the accounting software or accounting aspects of the entire country are legitimate. Nobody from outside is going to come and invest money with us, right? So unless, you being a small company, but your records are good, you want 1 crore, somebody from outside can think of doing that. But not if you have 10 crores worth of data revenue or 100 crores, but you don't have an accounting software. nobody's going to come and invest with you at all. So with that, I think the idea what I'm trying to say on this call to you all is try to make sure that this message spreads out, that if you, because at the end of the day, the liability comes on the auditor as well. So
That is
if
very well
you
said.
are looking at, if you're looking
Yeah,
at something to be, sorry, go ahead.
Saying so, I mean, why, just to share to both Manish and Chandrasekhar, the way auditors are looking at, or the way the rule has been framed, or the way implementation guide has mentioned when it speaks
Yeah.
about databases, they're not looking in terms of whether it is secured or whether the data is confidential. When we speak about audit trail or the edit log of a database, so typically, let's say there is a programmer who want to make certain modifications. He's offering a discount in a particular product. So obviously, he'll do through SQL. Or there could be a database backup kind of activities going through. No matter whatever you deal with database, what the way the auditors are interpreting, at least in the Big Four level, is because there is no edit log for all those activities happening at the database level, no matter whether it is through SQL or any other kind of query. There is because when I'm saying about edit log, again, it has to capture the image of code, what was there, the entire code, what I'm saying about prior to modification, the slightest modification, and the code after that. I mean, this is pretty much impractical. That's where I'm just keeping my I'm giving my opinion openly, personal opinion, so that
No, you're right.
it
What you're
has to
saying
reach
is
to,
absolutely right.
yeah, it has
But
to reach some
what has
place so that
happened?
Yeah.
Sorry, I think there's a little bit of lag. Sorry, go ahead. You finish.
Yeah. So, what I meant to say, I mean, this has to be carried. This particular message has to be carried to the highest level, so that there can be a clarity. There should be a clarity, because when I speak about a plain interpretation of 3.1 and the 11G, I'm only bothered about whether the accounting, if the company is maintaining accounting software, if so, it has to have an edit log where it matches with the rules what has been set in Rule 3 and 11. If I'm going beyond that, that means I'm going beyond my expertise of this thing. If I'm speaking about information security, it might attract even many other things. So that's a sensitive issue, which unfortunately we are dealing with in that way, because it's being taken up. If you see all the opinions formed in various companies, listed companies, you can see that they have given a qualified opinion when it's saying that no, at database level, it's not enabled. So any reader might consider it to be a negative kind of thing. I mean, they don't understand the language of what database, what is account software. So they feel that they'll have that discomfort. So that's the concern which we have to address now.
No, point taken. And I think audit trail is one part of it. This point that is specifically to the database log or database audit trail is essentially, I'm saying it's a gray area to be in the audit trail space. It's more on a security side, right? But you're right.
Exactly.
Since it's there in the ruling, you can't do much about it. So yeah, I don't have the right answer on that. Sorry about it.
So
yeah. So Mr. Manish, my point would be how many of your clients in India do you think have the audit log enabled at database level?
I would not have the right answers on this, sir. This is a very specific thing, and again, most of these people are using it in premise on their own infrastructure. We will not even have any idea about it, even if we want to
in
go
fact,
ahead.
one of the biggest ERP globally has also come up with a technical paper, and they try to convince, but unfortunately, it was not success. I mean, at least auditor was not convinced, because he was strictly going with the terms used in the implementation guide. So that's
That's
unfortunate.
what I'm saying. If that implementation guide, the way you interpret it, it's open to anything. And if I interpret it the way you're asking me, then obviously nobody can comply to that. Yeah.
Exactly.
In fact, actually, that is leaving more, an extension to DB maintenance also. Today, what's happening, most of the database administrators, they clear the logs of, previous years. Periodically, they do a lot of, data syncing or log syncing, on a regular basis. So with this point, they'll have to keep all the logs open for years together, which is a very, very exhaustive data,
Yeah. at least, I mean, it's in budding stage, at least give a breathing time. So let everyone comply with, then probably you want to make it stricter at the next level. That's a different story. I mean, you can't be harsh on the first level itself saying that no, you have to enable. We have auditor. We are liable to scrutinize the edit log. Yes, that's part of your procedure, because why we say scrutinize is, as I said, we have to comment on IFC. If the modification is so frequent or it's material enough to impact my opinion, then definitely I need to take a call. So it's again depending on what kind of issues you come across while going through edit log. It should be a part of that. That's the reason, in fact, why they have enabled this. For that matter, it's not just about maintaining the trial. It's for us to see that any modifications which we can't overlook by the, like say down the lane, some regulator comes and identifies that there is modifications happened and they see the audit log, then definitely question you whether it was part of your audit procedure in scrutinizing those transactions, why you haven't used skepticism and all that stuff. If there are many changes to data as evidenced by auditor and all changes have been properly documented, whether the same required to be commented. See, again, the report, it doesn't speak about how many transactions have been modified, what is the impact on the financial statement. No, it only speaks a pretty plain reading. It says whether the accounting software the company is using has an edit log. If it is so, then whether it is tamper proof, if it's not tampered and it is enabled throughout the year. And next year onwards, it has been retained as per the regulatory requirement. It's a simple plain reading. Rest of all, it's again, if you have to check that to obviously to form an opinion, then that's a altogether a different story. It's not within this particular rule. It's outside this as part of your regular audit. The comfort what you get through those modifications what you have. So you have to use your verification techniques and see what was the reason behind those changes, whether it has an impact on the finances. Say for example, there was a quarterly result declared in the month of December, and in the month of March I see quite a number of changes happened in the month of December, exclusively in the last days of December. Then definitely I might have to go back to the results declared over there and see the line items there and compare with what has been declared and see, because no, obviously you have to comment in CARO also with regard to books of accounts with regard to the loans, whatever stocks and debtors have been offered. So you might have to go back to those particular logs and see whether the modification has anything to do with modifying the values what they have mentioned in the quarterly results. Is it not? So that's where you have to see, and accordingly you might have to document those if in case it is material enough. Tampering is, that's what I mentioned, Mr. Murli. The purpose of tampering is whether that has been the edit log feature of the accounting software has been tried to be modified, whether it is enabled, disabled, or that's the main purpose. It's only tampering of the edit log, not the transaction. Okay, so if you see the plain reading of the rule, it says about whether that particular feature of recording audit trail as it's tamper proof ultimately. So you just need to comment whether that particular trail, as per your test check, you see that it has enabled throughout the year, and you don't find anything which says that there has been disabled or enabled during a particular period, then you can still consider it a way not tampered with. It's about how you have dealt with that particular edit log, whether someone tried to modify. If I take up an example, probably let's say I have a accounting software which many entities use. Okay, and I'm maintaining those in two different systems, and that particular backup on one fine day I take up and restored in this particular package, wherein the entire edit log shows as entered on 31st of March, or sometimes we have come across all the entries are made on 10th of April kind of thing. Definitely you have to comment, because that's not enabled throughout the year, and definitely you have to comment that edit log is tampered with. Is it not? So those are the things what you have to consider when it comes to tampering of those edit log. Auditorial exceptions also needs to be considered for reporting under the 143 ICAI on reporting on forwards. So 3 options qualified at first. See, again, when it comes to 705, if the opinion or the impact, if it is material enough, or depending on the pervasiveness of that particular materiality what you have identified, and it's altogether a different story. It's not, it doesn't fall into this particular rule 11G. Anything which has a material impact on the reporting of the financial statements is altogether a different story, where you will be using SCF 705 to comment on whether it has to be qualified opinion or adverse opinion or so and so. So 11G has nothing to do with in making a qualification. You just need to put a fact. 11G is about clearly about putting facts with regard to implementation of Rule 3.1 by the company, as simple as such.
This one
Is there
question,
any-
Vijay, on audit trail applicable to government companies.
There is no exception. Exemption has not been given. When it says the companies, obviously there is no exemption, specific exemption, at least to the extent of Rule 3.1 is considered. So any company maintaining books of accounts in accounting software, then or digital kind of platform, they have to have this. There is no specific exemption for that matter. Is there any difference between audit trail and accounting trail? Is trailing confined to software only? Last two sheets are destroyed. See, audit trail, when I speak about, I'm not sure if I'm understanding your question properly. The accounting software, whatever transactions have been made into accounting software, which is being used to generate your financial statement. Okay, so that's where we are speaking as of now. When I'm saying about accounting trail, say for example, I've given an example where you're capturing the information in Excel or MS Access, whatever it is there. And at the end of the day, you're summarizing, maybe retail stores, they are sharing those MIS, and based on that, you're passing your entry into accounting. So I need not to have an audit trail with regard to those isolated like Excel or any kind of thing. I need to worry about the audit trail, which is coming into the definition of books of account, which is being used to generate my financial statement. So when you're speaking about inventory, you said last two sheets. So I believe you are mentioning about Excel or any other kind of document which is not directly part of your accounting software. Then definitely there is a disconnect. It's not auto-populated. Then you don't need to have any audit log. And again, it comes back to your other opinion. I mean, what is that impact of those destroying happened on your regular books of account? And that's where your 705 comes into the picture, if it is material enough and all that stuff.
So, Vijay Garu, I have one question, and
Yes.
this is again because this question came up. 70 to 80% of our, or more than that, our businesses or enterprises or companies are small size, and most of them depend on CA, their CA's accounting software to, to release their financial statements.
Yeah.
What does it mean for this kind of a scenario? So,
see, one aspect is, if you see Rule 3, it speaks about maintenance of books of account at the registered office. I mean, if you literally interpret the Rule 3.
okay, got it.
So if you are saying that the books are not maintained at the company and being maintained at, say, some virtual CFO's office and all.
Yeah.
So that's altogether a different level of non-compliance, which again might attract different penalties.
So that is okay.
Unfortunately, that's a practice being followed, and hopefully, I mean, as long as it's not coming within the eyes of regulator, but if it comes, it's going to be a serious non-compliance, because books of accounts are to be maintained at the register office in the format what they have defined in Rule 3, and along with the definition of books of account into Section 230.
Got
So obviously, I mean, if we can't take a call on the online platform at least. So it's going to be very difficult, typical for all those virtual CFOs, if in case they are maintaining the books of account in their own offices.
Got it. So that's okay. Yeah, understood. Okay, that's another level
Mr.
of
Srinivas,
another level
one point. Mr. Srinivas, one point I want to add here, because as Mr. Manish said, there are a lot of clients who are still maintaining their on-prem licenses with them. Our very recent cases, what's happening, many of the times their data is been getting corrupted. Sometimes, they are losing the data by some ransom effect or some hardware failure and all. So I have some live incidents, where client was not having a proper backups maintained, and end of the day they'll be losing the entire data. And when it comes to repunching the entire data, so they are doing all the legacy data entered on the current date. How are you going to address that?
No, you see, again, it comes back to the same non-compliance only because
Non-compliance, yeah.
it will come as a straight non-compliance. I mean, at least to the extent of fact, what I'm going to mention with regard to Rule 3.1. I mean, I might say that okay, there some disaster has happened and that's a recovery procedure what they are following, but you have to put forth the facts. It's the stakeholders or the regulators who has to take a call whether what was the reason behind that. And so as an auditor, I just need to put the facts saying that this log is not enabled. And obviously, I have to say that I don't find any evidence where it is not considered to be tampered with. So all those facts I have to put forth. So unfortunately, because I mean, we need not to worry. At least as of now, companies shouldn't be worried about any comment on this audit trail because it's just simple rule which says that if you are having an accounting software, have it enabled at edit log. And if the auditor is saying that no, it's not there in the database level or and there is no evidence that it's not tampered with and all. So these are all things, if only something happens, if the investigation comes forth, I mean, regulators coming with regard to any investigation, that's where the issues will become more serious. Otherwise, it's just a plain fact. And if the company is not able to afford, let it be. Doesn't matter. Let it be fact. Open. So I don't need. Company shouldn't be worried about these particular comments in 11G. As long as they are maintaining the integrity of the transaction, as long as everything is transparent enough, and they shouldn't be bothered about these comments because these are not straight away qualification kind of thing. I'm not giving it as a qualification. It's a fact which I'm presenting in as part of my Rule 11G.
Okay, because at the end of the day, you are liable for all the audit,
that's the
right?
reason.
So
that's the reason.
yeah.
That's the reason.
So
I
those
have to
kind
be,
of So I would say those kind of instance, your client must must make I mean bring it to your notice, otherwise what will happen, So you might have done your audit for the previous period, and at the end of the day, when they lost everything, they start repunching everything in the current date, and your audited data is again gone, everything for toss.
And yes, of course. That's where we in the management representation letter also we need to ensure that all the related aspects of audit log has been mentioned clearly. I mean, what is the accounting software what they are using, and all those any issues if in case they have come up, everything has to be captured as part of your MRL. And based on that, you have to perform your any chest check. Of course, if you come across any kind of incidences over the desk while discussing with the auditees you have come across, then that's a different level where you investigate and try to find out. But ultimately, as long as everything is clear and you shouldn't be bothered about. I mean, you just need to go through evaluation, your test check about the audit software. That's the only thing I should be bothered about.
Right.
Yeah. Any other checking? PDFs about audit trail is available. I mean, this is compiled by Vishal Doshi. Naresh sir, I think you might have. You can just share it if it is okay. Or let me try to put it in the chat if it is permitted.
Yeah, please put it in chat.
Let me just share it. Because this is just a compilation of various opinions given in different companies. So there's nothing to.
So CA Murli has given one question is pending.
Yeah, I'll just share this and. Okay, I've shared this in the Zoom chat, the compilation by Mr. Vishal Doshi. Yeah, it's there. How to find if that's the question? Which question, sir? You're mentioning about?
I was talking about if a company maintains separate software for its sales operations and accounting, and both are not linked. And
obviously, I mean, you can just refer to implementation guide question 15, if I remember, which says that if it is not, even the last question of your FAQ also, if it is not integrated, auto-populated into your accounting software, then you need to bother about only audit trail of your accounting software, not about the other software, just as good as any Excel kind of application. How to find if audit trail is disabled? See, again, it's just the chest check what you perform. I mean, as I said, unless we have a proper MIS, which is a pretty difficult task, for any accounting software. But only way is you just go through the sample what you picked up. Initially, being the first year, you might have to pick up a little larger sample, and you might go for stratified sampling or a random sampling, whatever it may be. But ultimately, you need to have a proper good population. And wherever you find that there is an issue, then accordingly you might change your population. Ultimately, it's just part of your audit procedure what you have to adopt. There is no a tailor-made. I mean, it's not any kind of standard where you can say that no, throughout the year it's not disabled. You have to perform your own test check. It has to be. You have to comment, Mr. Bajaj. You're mentioning about mid of the year. The same. There is a comment you have to make with regard to enabling throughout the year. However, the same has not been enabled throughout the year. That's how you have to probably mention in that report. So companies having accounting software, however, based on our test check, it's not been enabled throughout the year. I mean, just to put it in a simple words. So anything else, sir? I mean, I think not
We
much
have
of
covered
questions.
everything. Yeah.
I think we have also crossed the time, 15 minutes.
Yeah, so I think it was very elaborately discussed on the audit trail at transaction level and the database level. So generally, the disclosure is what the members are more worried about, and also probably worried about the consequences of non-disclosure is again another issue that was being looked at. So I think all the panelists were able to share their views about what was the possibilities and how to go about in analyzing or checking about the availability or non-availability of the logs at different levels. So thank you very much for all the panelists. Thank you, Mr. Manish Gupta, for sparing your time and being part of this panel discussion. Thank you, Chandrasekhar Garu, for your detailed presentation on the audit trail at Focus. And
Thank
thank
you,
you, Vijay, for coordinating and raising questions and interacting on this topic. And I also like to thank all the members who have joined in for this session. I'm sure most of your queries are replied, and if anything else is there, probably we can reach up on a one-to-one level, or you can write a mail to SIRC@ICAI.in. I will definitely look into it and get back to you after speaking to the panelists. So thank you very much, each one of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, Manish.
everyone.
Thank you,
Have a
Chandrasekhar.
good night.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Take care, all of you. God bless
Jai
you.
Hind.
Bye.
Jai Hind. Thanks. Bye.